It is Tuesday, the 23rd of June 2020, and this is the MMA Movement live chat. We missed last week, Sean, but we're back this week, and if you don't know who I am, my name is Rob Palin, and that means you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, but you can fix that very, very easily by just clicking the subscribe button right down below there. And while you're at it, there's a like button around there as well. You might as well hit that. It's quick and easy.
We're only about 300 subscribers off 8k, Rob.
Yeah, so
That
quite
would be
close.
nice.
So you could be someone in the chat now. Could be the right one to get us up to whatever number Sean said. I can't even remember what he said. But
8k, Rob, just in case you aren't listening.
Yeah, I was listening, but I was trying to make sure we were still live, because last week we had a bit of a shambles, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, that we went live for like 5 minutes. Well, we thought we went live for 5 minutes and we weren't, so yeah. Anyway, there was a card on last weekend and it was a decent card. It had a Fight of the Year candidate, in my opinion, on it. There's a card this weekend, and then we have one coming up, 151, which is in like 2 weeks or something like that. But we have like a whole Fight Island preview we want to get to, and all your questions as well. The way this thing works, as always, is we answer your questions. Hopefully, if you give us some, make sure they're good. They should be about MMA, but if they're not, that's fine, we'll answer them too. But what I'm going to do is going to get straight into one of the questions on the community tab, but put your questions into the live chat as well, and we'll get to them momentarily. But the first question is about the card last weekend, and it seems to be one of the big stories coming from the card, Sean. And it's something that I think we both have opinions on. Aiden Mack, formerly Aiden Mack, I actually remember his second name, but he goes by Aiden on YouTube now. What's your opinions on Max Rohskopf? I can't just pronounce the second name. Robert Drysdale controversy, and despite Dana White's agreement that Drysdale should have called it, what are the chances that they put him on another card, essentially? So if you haven't seen it, just a bit to set the stage a little bit. So Robert Drysdale in Max's corner essentially told his fighter, when his fighter was saying he wants him to call it, that he wasn't going to call it. He said it probably about 10 times, it must have been 9 to 10 times.
I think 9 times he said, like, I don't want to go back out there.
Max was saying, I want to get out, and Drysdale was saying, no, you're better than that, we're not going to stop the fight, continue. And then eventually the doctor and the referee come over, and immediately when Max said he wants to get out of there, the referee said, yeah, let's call it. So first part of the question is, what's your thoughts on the whole controversy? We'll get to the second half next, but Sean, I'll throw it to you first. What's your thoughts on the whole controversy, Robert Drysdale refusing to stop the fight?
I think it absolutely stinks, and I think Drysdale should never corner a fighter again.
Well,
like the problem is that there's no real criteria for being able to corner someone. Like me or you can go and corner a UFC fighter tomorrow.
We sure could,
realistically. Not that we'd be any good at it, like, but we could feasibly do it. Yeah, I think, look, if Rohskopf says it to him once or twice, maybe try and motivate your guy, tell him you might regret this. Are you sure? Like, are you sure? Like, your first response shouldn't be no. Like, ask him, is he sure? Do you want to quit? Do you want to like call it? And like, he confirms him 9 or 10 times that he wants him to call it, and he just won't accept it. I think it's disgusting, really. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it's totally different to the Anthony Smith one we seen a couple of weeks ago, where Smith's corner could have pulled him. Smith didn't request to be pulled from the fight, or request his corner
actually
to
said
pull
the
him.
opposite.
Like, your corner aren't there to be your best mate. Like, they're there to protect you and train you to the best of your ability. And I think Drysdale absolutely had no intention of protecting his guy there.
Yeah.
Whether he could have won the fight or not is really irrelevant once Rohskopf asks to be pulled from the fight. I don't think he was protecting his fighter at all.
Yeah, like, I'm similar to you. My feelings are similar to you, in the sense that, like, I get his initial reaction. I don't necessarily think that he can't say no at first. I think, especially with a young fighter like that, and of course, the fighters know their fighters, or the coaches know their fighters best, so they know what kind of mentality they have. And there's a few rumours, or I don't know if we can call them rumours, but there's a few, we'll say rumours, saying that Max kind of does this quite a lot in training and stuff
Right.
like that. Like, he kind of needs to be encouraged to go back out there and believe in himself. And the fact that he took the fight on short notice doesn't help things. Especially with your UFC debut, you always have those UFC jitters or whatever they call them. But yeah, my point is that I didn't disagree with Drysdale initially saying, no, let's get back out there. But once it got to 4, 5, 6 times, especially once it got to the point where, like, he was leaving him. Like, he was leaving the cage to allow Max to continue. And if the referee didn't overhear that, Max probably would have been basically put back into the cage. I'm sure he would have said it to the referee eventually. But, you know, it seems like Max was trying not to be heard on the camera, the camera mics, which is, like, impossible to do in the Apex anyway. And generally, even at normal cards, like, I seen a question from somebody, not directed towards us, but I think it was on The Athletic, saying, does this actually happen a lot more than we think? But, like, we just don't see it because the arenas are usually filled with fans. We can't really hear it. But, like, usually we hear everything that happens in a corner anyway, because they have the corner cams and it's fairly clear. But I think Max was trying not to allow the cameras to hear that. So I think he was a little bit apprehensive to say it to the referee. He wanted his corner to do it for him. And the worst part for me wasn't the initial no, because I think the coach, like, at a certain level, should do that. Like, initially say, come on, you can do this, let's do this. But it was when, like, Drysdale was actually leaving the cage and Max was standing there, like, still saying, I want this fight to be stopped. That's where I see the problem. It wasn't great.
At what point does Drysdale then decide that, like, what next is it going to take for Drysdale to say, okay, I need to pull him here? Like, if he won't listen to a guy telling him 9 times that he wants to be pulled from the fight, at what point is he actually going to listen to a fighter? And I get the argument that, you know, the corner knows the guy. I mean, if he still says he wants to be pulled after being called a champion, and, you know, you can do this. I think it was, what was it, 1-1 in the fight?
Yeah, but potentially a 10-8 in the second, potentially.
Yeah, it was. Like, the fight was, he could have won the fight with a knockout in the.
He could have,
or a judge scoring that alone 10-9. He could have won it 2 rounds to 1. It's like, I've said this before. I do think more fighters should quit. I think it's good for their brains to quit a little. I do, though. I think fighters should quit more. Like, or fighters should be pulled from a fight more by their corner. There's not really any shame in it. I mean, you got in there in the first place. Save yourself for another day if the fight's not winnable. If he felt he couldn't win that fight, who might argue with him? Or if he felt he needs to be pulled from that fight, who might argue with him?
Yeah.
So corner's there to protect him. And if he doesn't feel he can win that fight and he wants to be pulled, putting him back in is just as dangerous. It's so dangerous to put a fighter in going into that. That
was my second point. Like, a guy who has such little experience with, I think, 5 fights. That was his 6th fight, was it? Or was it I think it was the 6th fight. That can't be good. Like, going in there clearly not in the right mindset to actually go in and compete.
Yeah,
that's not good. But yeah, I think I didn't have a problem with it for the first maybe 20 seconds. I think, get your fighter back in the right mind frame. But then, as Chris No Pants Layman's, one of the best usernames on YouTube, said, the coach claimed he was trying to use the entire 60 seconds to motivate him back to the cage. And I get that. As I said, I get that. I get the initial push to try to get him back in there. Like, as like a lot of people have said, the second round may have been a 10-8. I'm not sure if I scored it that way. But it wasn't the biggest beatdown I've ever seen in the world. Like, he wasn't
at all.
He wasn't, like, taking so much damage that I'm like, stop this fight.
Yeah.
So I get why the coach Drysdale was looking at it and saying, you know, you're not down too far. You can still win this fight. But when he says that he was trying to use the full 60 seconds, he used the full 60 seconds and he still said he wanted to not be there. He still said it. As you were leaving the cage, he still said, no, I don't want to be here. I don't want to fight. So I think you failed your fighter in that way. And I've heard
he turned his back on his fighter as he said he didn't want to.
Yeah.
It stinks. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah, that's not great. And then I think Luke Thomas put out a video on this, and I thought he made some good points, saying there's no real training for coaches in terms of, like, this situation. But one other thing that kind of came to my mind when I was watching this, and I don't think he spoke about this specifically, but you're not just a coach for that fighter in that moment, for that one fight. You're a coach for that fighter, hopefully for the rest of their career. So in the back of your mind, you got to be thinking that. You got to be thinking, this guy 5-0, he needs to survive this fight and live the fight another day. And again, he wasn't getting completely beat up, but going in with the wrong mindset, going into a third round with a dangerous guy, you know, bad things could have happened. And I think it was a bad decision by the coach, unfortunately.
You got to save your guy for another day if he doesn't want to be in there.
Yeah.
And do you know what as well? He actually looked quite exciting in the first round as well.
He did. Looked good.
Fun stuff. Looked all right.
The other part of the question was, would he be given another opportunity? And Based on Dana White's comments, I'm not sure. Maybe he'll be told, get a few more fights in the regional scene, just because Dana said, this guy doesn't seem to be ready now for the UFC, and he might never be ready. That was kind of the words that he said, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was told, a few more.
I don't know what age he is. They said on the broadcast that his plan was to fight in the Contender Series in the summer.
Yeah.
But then this opportunity just came up, and he kind of took it. So
yeah, it's
he could have been one of those guys who they might have put on a developmental contract after the Contender Series. So that could still be the case, but who knows?
He's only 25. He only has 6 fights, so he had a few grappling fights and 1 amateur fight. So he's still very inexperienced. If I had to make a guess right now or make a prediction, I'd say that he'll probably fight outside the UFC next, and I think that'd be good for him. We speak about this all the time. It seems like these days, because the UFC have so many fights, that a lot of young guys who show some promise get to the big show too early. In my opinion, I think they do. Like, I think Sage Norco, for example, could have had a lot of he could have done a lot of good things, I think, in MMA. He probably still could, but I think he got there a little bit too quick.
I think that's the problem with pulling guys from the likes of that. Dana's looking for a fight series. I mean, you're literally trawling the depths of regional MMA cards to find guys, and it's not that some of them might not be ready, but you're pulling guys from low level MMA cards. It's not like you're pulling them from LFA or I don't know, Combat America, or like genuine feeder organizations to the UFC, or Cage Warriors.
Yeah, it's true. Adrian Kapoor in the community tab asked, Stipe and DC will both be retired in the next year or two for sure. So after, do you think we'll see Francis and Curtis fight 5 to 6 times, considering they're clearly the 2 best, and I don't see anyone but each other beating them for a while? Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that fight as well, the main event from last weekend. Not the most exciting fight in the world, but yeah, Curtis Blaydes done pretty well. Like
Blaydes is a problem.
He is, he looked good. It's just, it wasn't the most exciting fight, and I know Dana White threw him under the proverbial bus big time after the fight, because Blaydes going in was talking about fighter pay and all that stuff, and he said, if you're going to go out there and you're going to talk about fighter pay, you have to perform way better than that. But at the end of the day, he beat Volkov, who was ranked, and he beat Volkov, who a lot of people have said it's hard to look good against. So I was impressed. But yeah, I don't know, heavyweight's weird. Like, it's one of them divisions where somebody will come in with big power in the next year or two, and he'll be suddenly a top contender as well.
And he'll run through 3 or 4 people. And
exactly. So, it's limited now, but it always kind of gets built up with 1 or 2 decent contenders out of nowhere. Anything in the live chat? Let's go in. John C, does it seem like there are more bad corner issues recently in the UFC? Maybe I've just never noticed, but the media focuses more on it with no other sports going on. I don't know. I don't know if it's just we're noticing it a bit more. I'm sure
I think the bad ones always stand out, and I think it just so happens that there's been a couple of bad ones lately
in a row.
I think cornering is probably an issue just in general. I think more corners have to protect their fighters and pull them out early. Fighter likes it or not, I think you got to protect your guy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think there has been. The shape Blaydes is boring. He'll never be champ as long as Francis is there. I agree. I don't think he'll be champ as long as Francis is there. Boring.
I don't even want to see that fight again.
No.
Ngannou's beat Blaydes twice. I don't want to see it again.
Yeah. The only thing with Curtis Blaydes is that, unlike most heavyweights, he's very young. He's only 29, which is like a baby in the heavyweight division, considering most of their fighters. So, yeah.
The problem is as well, they probably will look to book. If Ngannou becomes champion once DC and Stipe have retired, they're probably going to have to book that fight again, because that, going through who Blaydes has beat in the heavyweight division. He's beat Olenek, Mark Hunt, Overeem, Justin Willis, Junior Dos Santos, Volkov. You can't really deny him a shot if Ngannou gets to that title.
Yeah.
And he keeps winning. So we're probably going to see it again at some point, but don't particularly want to.
No, either do I. We have actually a good few questions in the community tab, so I'm going to drop over there. Make sure you get them in the live chat because that's always good. Salva Stola, who is Colby going to fight next, I assume? It's a tough one, isn't it? Like, welterweight has been a little bit stagnant or something lately. A lot of fights that we want to see don't seem to be happening. So, does anybody jump out to you who Colby's going to fight next?
We talked about this before with the welterweight division, as in there's some fun matchmaking to be made, but there's a lot of issues that, like, with pay and less pay because it's behind closed doors and stuff like this. There's a lot of issues besides actually just making the fights that are going to be the issues here. I mean, you could do. I mean, they talked about Covington and Tyron Woodley. Woodley said he accepted that fight. I think that's an awful matchup for Woodley at the minute.
Me too.
I'm not too sure. Like, you do Covington, Masvidal ain't fighting anytime soon by the looks of it.
Yeah.
So do you do Covington and Edwards? Yeah, that's a fun fight.
It is fun.
It's a good one.
Do you know I wouldn't mind the Tyron Woodley fight? And I know we've said it the past few shows that I think we kind of missed that one when it should have happened, you know? Like, that was a fight that I think really should have happened at a certain point. You know, it seemed like they were on a collision course. We kind of missed it. But in a certain sense, Colby Covington coming off a loss, Tyron Woodley, former champion, and somebody who Tyron Woodley will really want to get up to beat. Like, he'll really get motivated to beat him. Not that I don't think he was motivated for his last few fights, but I have some interest in that. I wouldn't mind saying that if they would sign the contract, but they've said they've signed contracts for that fight so many times, so who knows?
Yeah. I'm not too sure how much interest. I mean, Woodley's coming off the back of 10 straight rounds that he's lost, so.
Not great. Not great. The shape. Do you think Colby will beat Masvidal? This fight's got a lot of personal hate behind it. I think Colby's a very tough ask for Jorge Masvidal. I think that style's very tough. So if I had to pick right now, I'd probably pick Colby to win.
I probably would as well. I mean, I know he's been knocked him out, but he showed his chin and his heart in that fight as well. He's a volume guy. He was so impressive against Lawler. I think I'd probably pick Covington against Masvidal as well. I think that's a tough fight for Masvidal.
Adrian Kapoor, again on the community tab. Here's a different one. Who should be on the cover of UFC 4, the game? Rumor says the cover will have Israel and Masvidal. I think Israel.
Conor wasn't somewhere there on the cover.
Yeah, he was on the last one though, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was someone like Israel, to be honest.
Yeah, Israel and Masvidal kind of makes sense. Yeah.
If the UFC have any input into it, it probably won't be Masvidal because they seem to be clashing a little bit on cash.
Masvidal's going to want some cash for being on the front of that.
Yeah, 100%. I wonder what there has to be obviously some kind of payment for doing the cover. I wonder what.
You would imagine so.
Yeah.
But UFC probably take that cut of that as well.
Yeah. Drew L, I think Dana was out of line once again talking about Blaydes. So I completely agree. And it's so weird because, like, here's Blaydes who, like him or not, he's probably going to be a contender going forward for another few years, and you absolutely bury him. It shouldn't be really the role of a promoter, in my opinion.
It's in your name. You're a promoter, not a fucking grave digger. And Blaydes is what he is, and he came out before the fight and he said, "Don't expect a knockout here. I'm going to wrestle him and sit on him for 25 minutes."
Yeah,
he's damn good at it, like, as well. So
yeah,
Dana.
It wasn't the most exciting, but like,
no, it wasn't. But we knew it wasn't going to be as well.
Exactly.
So don't watch it if you don't like. It's simple again. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. Don't then watch it and complain about it when you knew it was going to be anyway. Talking about matchmaking, actually, I see Tom Broom Jones talking about Chase Hooper and Alex Caceres. That was bad matchmaking as well. Did you watch that fight a couple of weeks ago?
Chasing Alex. Yeah, I picked Alex.
I can't remember who I picked actually.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are picking Chase.
Chase looked very outmatched.
He was.
A lot of heart, and he stayed in there, but like, he took a bit of a beating.
He has a ways to go. I like him. He's a good character, but he has a ways to go. Good grappler, but a long way to go.
Still a young kid as well, like a long way to go, but
yeah,
tough matchmaking at that point, I think, for him.
Adrian again on the community tab said, "I don't know if it's possible, Rob, but is it possible that we could maybe get Chuck back on to talk about his leaving the Athletic and stuff like that?" Maybe. Give him a shout.
I'd love
I'm
to
not
get
sure.
Chuck back on anyway.
Yeah, just in general, but I don't know if he'd want to talk about leaving, but maybe. But we'll see. It's a shame that his podcast with Sean didn't continue.
Someone's got to snap him up.
Oh, they will.
Best writer in the game.
Yeah, they will. Aaron Rabbit. If Dustin beats Dan or vice versa this weekend, where do both fighters go from there? Dustin surely needs one or two more to even be back in title talks, and Dan will be a fresh face in the title picture and could go straight to a title with a win over Justin. Could he go straight to a title? I think with his last loss, amazing fight against Paul Felder, I think it's difficult to say he should go straight into a title fight. Talking about Dan, I think Dustin's probably one more away, so I don't think it automatically gives them a title fight. But you never know. It like a really really impressive performance. Either one could be in the title picture, but the sense that I get is that it'll be one more. They'll need to win one more after that. But it's an incredible fight.
I mean, you could do the winner against Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I'd be all for the rematch of Conor and Dustin. I think at 55, I'd be all for that.
Yeah, I'd like it.
I'd like to see that.
But that fight, actually, let's just talk a little bit about that fight. Really, really, really good fight this weekend, and we probably could have two potential fight of the year contenders in the space of a week with Emmet last weekend, and now this fight coming up. Who do you fancy in this one? I'm not sure if you've looked at the odds for it yet, Sean, but who do you fancy like off the bat coming into this one?
I have looked at the odds as it happens. Yeah.
I fancy favourite, is he?
He's a big enough favourite now, to be honest. He is around the 1-2 mark. Let me get the odds here. Yeah, he's around the 1-2 mark, 4-9. And then you can get anywhere between 7-4 and over and 9-5 on Dan Hooker. 9-5, I'd actually be a little bit tempted to have an outplay on Dan Hooker. 7-4, I think is probably a fair price. I think the prices are pretty fair. I fancy Dustin personally. I think you could say that Dan Hooker arguably lost his last fight. I think it was close.
Yeah, I think I said he lost, didn't I? It was that close.
Yeah, by accident. I think, but it was the Auckland. It was that hometown decision a little bit probably.
Yeah.
Don't think it was an undeserved winner, but
no. I think there's a little bit of sentimental value as well with Paul Felder, because
probably
he kind of retired after it as well. But yeah, so if I can roll back and say, because I misremembered and thought he lost that fight, potentially he could be the next title challenger. You never know.
I like Dustin.
Yeah, I like Dustin too. But the interesting thing about Dan Hooker as well is that he has not the Israel Adesanya thing, but he's from a country where a lot of people have a lot riding on him. Kind of like the Conor McGregor effect type thing. Yeah. So he'd be an interesting challenger. But yeah,
he's from not AKA City Kickboxing.
City Kickboxing, yeah.
Those guys just improve every fight as well. So
yeah.
We might not have seen the best Dan Hooker yet.
Imagine that. Imagine having Dan Hooker, he gets a title fight and wins, just let's say. And then you have Izzy, and then you have Volkanovski. And I know Volkanovski isn't technically in City Kickboxing, right? He's just, he uses Eugene Berman as a coach.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A hell of an Aussie card, that. I know Hooker's New Zealand and stuff, but yeah. You know what I mean?
Oceanic card, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, very good. But apologies for saying that Dan Hooker lost the last fight, but that's how I remember it. Maybe I scored at the Paul Felder. Yeah. Maybe that's what it was.
Probably. I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm not sure if I'm going to stay up for it though.
I don't think I will.
The card's not great, so I might just watch it the next morning.
Yeah, I'll wait out for 251. I think. If
I think so.
Picking that, I'll pick Dustin Poirier, but momentum is on Dan Hooker's side. Poirier. The thing about Poirier for me is that he's been just there so many times. How many times can you rebound? How many times can you get to that point and almost win the title, or almost get to that title fight and lose and then rebound? And against someone like Dan Hooker, who is an incredibly tough ask, it's a tough one for him. But I'll go Poirier.
I take Poirier as well, but that 9-5 on Dan Hooker, I might be tempted to have a little poke at that. So we'll see.
Yeah. Someone is absolutely wrecking the chat in there with Edson Barboza. Grab a question there, Sean, while I sort this lad
out. Anthony Scott says, I think you have this one wrong. The guy was just tired and needed some motivation. The coach did the right thing he knows the fighter because he lives with him for 2 years. Watch Ariel's interview. Maybe. I still think 9 times is a bit excessive. Like, how many times does the guy have to tell he wants out? Like, does that basically means that, like, he would never pull that guy out? Like, what can that guy say to that coach that would make him pull him out? If he won't listen after 9 times, I understand that maybe once or twice he can think, okay, he does this now and again. He just needs motivated. We need to G him up a little bit. You turned your back on him after he told you that he didn't want to go back in there. Turned your back and you went to walk out of the cage. It's not good enough in my opinion. I think it's poor, really, really poor.
I agree with that. There's a certain level, there's a certain point where it's getting excessive, and was getting excessive in my opinion. Jump back into the community tab. Make sure you hit that like button. Always helps us out. Tom Brown Jones, do you think Samir likes Barboza? Apparently so.
Does, yeah.
Apparently so. Adrian Kapoor again. Thoughts on Bourne's calling for McGregor to be removed from the rankings? And we have a little thing about the rankings as well I want to chat about. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Citing that Cejudo retired and was promptly removed from the rankings, yet Conor has not. Oh, unbelievable. Yes, Conor should be removed from the rankings. He's inactive. He's apparently retired. He should. When he said he retired, and Dana White actually said this weekend, yeah, Conor's retired. I haven't talked to him since. And he still hasn't been removed from the rankings. Bullshit. Remove him.
Yeah. I think it suits the UFC to remove Cejudo because then they have a freed up belt. Not any rush to remove Conor because, you know, Conor, the issue wasn't Conor wanting to retire. The issue was matchmaking and getting Conor a fight.
And Conor has leverage. Conor has at least some leverage. Cejudo didn't really have a whole lot of leverage.
Different situations, I think, but there'll be no rush to remove Conor from the rankings.
But I agree. But if you haven't seen it, go. I don't know who tweeted this, but essentially,
Caposa was tweeting.
Caposa tweeted about it. Essentially, the UFC, when they send the guys, like the radio hosts, random radio hosts you never heard of, to rank the UFC fighters in the UFC rankings, when they send out the report or whatever, they give suggestions on what they should do.
So I have Caposa's tweet right now. Yeah.
Go for it.
So the way this works is these suggestions are sent to members of the rankings committee by a well-known MMA website who act as a bridge between the UFC and the rankings committee. Take from that what you will. It's a nice way for the UFC to absolve themselves of having anything to do with the rankings, but it stinks. So they send these guys little rankings brief, it's called. And it's so on the left you have Josh Emmett here, and it has upside win and downside loss. So what happens for him if he wins and what happens for him if he loses. What they would suggest. It also says what they would suggest to do with him in the rankings if he wins, if he loses, and then the same for his opponent. So it said Josh Emmett's upside in this fight if he won, it was low because the guy was lower ranked than him. And then there's a big paragraph on it and for some of the reasoning. For his downside, if he loses, it says it's high. I'll read a bit of it out. Although it may seem harsh, with a loss for here, Emmet could be removed from the featherweight rankings. I believe he was 8 in the rankings going into the fight, number 8. Emmet could be removed from the featherweight rankings. He would be just 2-2 in his last 4, with his best win coming against Mirsad Bektic. In that time, current number 16, Bryce Mitchell, is 4-0, with his best win being over Charles Rossa, who at this stage of his career is not a huge step down from Bektic. Given that Mitchell's better record would give him a better claim to the ranking spot, it's also worth noting that 11 to 15 in the rankings also have impressive recent records, with each having a winning streak of at least 4, with the exception of Jose Aldo, whose resume speaks for itself. And then that same reasoning is given in the downside of a loss for Shane Burgos. And like, all of that makes sense and is fine. If you're on the rankings committee, that logic is absolutely fine to use. It's not for the UFC to plant this logic in your head.
Exactly.
For the rankings.
Yeah. And then what happens, I don't want to get too conspiratorial, but what happens if these guys then stray from those recommendations? Do the UFC say, well, you're making some weird decisions here and don't continue to use them? Who knows?
There was a guy who tweeted a poster who I think did seem to be on the rankings. I can't find the tweet now. But he said he was basically giving out about these suggestion sheets because he said he kept Emmet hasn't moved in the rankings, and he kept who did Emmet fight? I can't even think now. What's his name? Emmet fought Burgos. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. He kept Burgos in the rankings at 15. So if everyone had listened to the rankings brief and what they should be doing, Burgos wouldn't be in the rankings. But like, it was a hell of a fight. It's not like he got
I
sparked
know.
in 10 seconds. So
Yeah.
yeah, and like, can you imagine now with Dana having thrown Curtis Blaydes under the bus? Can you imagine the rankings brief for Curtis Blaydes' next fight?
Jesus,
that downside of a loss is going to be very high, and the upside ain't going to be very high.
Yeah, even like I get the reasoning as well.
Yeah, it
but
makes
some of
total sense.
It makes sense, but then at some point it's like, why are you even giving reasons to these guys? Like, they should be able to critically think themselves, but apparently not.
And then there is also the quote here of, see, when Dana says, you think, yeah. So remember when Dana says again, rankings don't mean shit. We aren't even involved in them. Lies.
It's
Dana talking fucking shit again.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Drew L, do you guys think Anthony Smith is fighting too soon? Fighting again too soon. Heard he has a fight booked. Yeah, he has a fight booked for August. Anthony Smith. Yeah, against Alexander Rakic, which is a tough ask too. Yeah, I think that's
August far enough away, I suppose.
But... 3 months after getting your face bashed in, losing a few teeth.
Yeah, I suppose.
Especially, you know, he lost a few teeth and stuff. That was a bad beatdown. I think that's crazy. But Anthony Smith is a wild man, as we know.
Yeah,
Don't
I
stop
thought I actually,
even if I'm dead.
I think, yeah, I actually probably assumed that Smith would get that 6 month suspension from the commission after that fight. Yeah, must have only got a 3 month one or something.
He must have, yeah. It's crazy. I think it's
or actually even less if he's going to be training for this fight.
Yeah,
I think the UFC
it's supposed to be like
that away.
Yeah, it's supposed to be no contact half the time, but yeah, I doubt many people actually take that. Tom Broom Jones, did you guys see Luke Thomas's disagreement with Robin Black over the cornering situation on Twitter? Luke provided plenty of sound reasoning, but Robin kept hitting him with "You've never fought, bro." Yeah, that's what I hate about this sport sometimes.
Dead.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I understand. It's like, I know. But like, everyone can have their opinion, especially if it's reasonably thought out. But whatever. I didn't see it, but if you have a link or something, I would like to see it. Or if it's just on Luke's Twitter, we can go find it. But let us know.
Question there about the smaller cage from Harry Lewis.
Do you say recent arguments about a smaller cage leading to more interesting fights due to there being nowhere to run? Surely that helps boring low damage cage wrestlers to point score win. Yeah, you can go either way, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd love to see some kind of study done on it, if possible. Like, if you could get the data for it. I'm not sure if you could. I don't know if anyone carries that data.
You're an analyst, Rob. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm sure it'd be hard to find some correlation. Because each fight is so different. It's not like, there's just so many variables. I think it'd be hard to find correlation between the cage size and how the fight turns out, essentially.
Yeah, you could do some kind of analysis on it, but whether the cage is the actual thing, because as you said, what you'd probably have to do is have enough data to do it on perhaps like matching on a lot of different variables, you know, like you'd have to obviously match on maybe male to male, weight class to weight class, like stuff that you can match on as much as possible.
You can't do, say, I don't know, you can't do two guys in a small cage and then the same two guys in the big cage. You can do it, but the fights won't be the exact same.
Yeah.
The fights will be totally different, and the cage may have no reasoning on that. So
yeah, generally the way it's done, it is a little bit simplistic the way I'm going to explain it, but this is essentially what you do: is that you have your control group, you have your treatment group, and essentially the treatment group, like in a drug test or something, you know, like when you're doing a test trial of a drug, you give them the drug, you give the control group a placebo or something like that, and these two groups should have similar. It should be a big enough of population that they should be similar in certain ways. So the way you can do it is that you'd match on similar fighters if you could in two different groups, and in some groups you'd have them fighting in a big cage, some you'd have fighting in a small cage, and then you see if there was any kind of increase in whatever you want to call excitement is, which I guess finishes maybe.
Yeah.
It's a little bit simplistic, but that's essentially what you'd have to do, and where you'd get that data, I don't know.
It'd be tough.
Yeah, it'd be very tough.
Cumberland Jones suggested a fucking cracking fight there. Josh Emmett versus Korean Zombie once Josh is healthy. Damn, there's a fight.
Man, I'd love it. Yeah.
Oh.
Josh Emmett, right? He seemed, I don't know, right? Like a lot of people, like just see Michael Bisping's commentary on that fight, and he was like, it's the power versus the speed. But then when you watch Josh Emmett fight, that guy has got speed. That wasn't power versus speed. That was a guy with power and speed fighting somebody with speed. You know, I think
Josh Emmett's a fucking good fighter. Like
I think it really does. He gets underestimated. I really do think he gets underestimated. We interviewed him a while back.
Yeah,
about 2 years
I
ago.
I said to you last week. It was before the Jeremy Stevens fight. We interviewed him. I think
so. Oh shit, it was
yeah, because you lost him.
Yeah.
I said to you last week. I thought Emmet. Yeah, good fella. Came on our show.
Yeah.
I said to you last year. I thought Emmet was a very good underdog in that fight. If you were having a bet, and I didn't back it.
Didn't back him. No.
No, I didn't watch the fight. I was otherwise occupied, Rob.
Yeah.
Inebriated at the time.
Oh yeah, very nice. Tom Broom Jones. Conor has won one fight at lightweight, and it was 4 years ago. The fact he's still ranked sums up what a farce the rankings are. Completely. Nobody would get away with that. Nobody else would get away with that. It's insanity. Fucking hell.
And you forget to even think about it like that.
You do,
It's Conor McGregor.
Exactly.
You're like,
oh, but it's
Conor McGregor. Like, yeah.
Like, that guy sells a lot of pay-per-views, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Conor McGregor.
Like, can you imagine the rankings brief for Conor? Upside, high. Upside if he wins, high. Downside if he loses. Fuck all, really.
Yeah, just leave him.
Conor McGregor, innit?
Yeah. Upside if he wins, move him 2 places. If he loses, just move him 1. Just let him go up 1. I don't know. It's insane. Tom Broom Jones, not on the live chat but on the community tab, asked if you could have one fighter as your companion during the zombie apocalypse, who would it be? Hard mode, no Valentina Shevchenko. Wow.
Don't get Valentina, that's fair.
Okay, so he's not a current active fighter, but Tim Kennedy seems like a guy who could handle himself in a zombie apocalypse. He was in the Marines or something. And he loves guns, so he probably has a big stash of guns. So I'll probably go with Tim Kennedy.
Is that who you're going to?
Yeah, I'll go with Tim Kennedy. Okay. Yeah.
Mine's going to be a little bit left field, I think.
Conor McGregor, is it?
No. I think I'm going to take Max Holloway. He spends an awful lot of time playing video games.
Oh, I suppose, yeah. Good shit. I never even thought
of that.
And
I think I'm in my head, this is like a video game where me and Max just go through shooting zombies, and I think Max would be very fun.
Yeah, fair enough. Caught me off guard.
Obviously, respawn. We can't just do that now, but I think Max would be fun.
Just go crack. Like, if you're gonna die, just actually get someone who would be good crack to hang out with.
You may as well have a bit of fun dying. Like,
yeah, I'm not sure if Tim Kennedy would be that fun. He's a bit too serious for me. So maybe I'll just go with somebody else. Someone who should be able to handle themselves, but who is also a bit of crack.
Izzy be in the Matrix and stuff, so he could be useful.
Could be useful, yeah. The Korean zombie, just because he has zombie in his name, maybe he's thought about these things.
But Valentine is the one you'd take if you wanted to survive.
Yeah. Joe, actually, not a fighter, but I'd say Joe Rogan would be able to handle himself.
Oh, facts. Yeah.
He hunts, you know. I don't know. Just seems like
Rogan's definitely prepared for some sort of world-ending apocalypse.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah. I'd say he's just ready to pounce, like, immediately. Yeah. Like, if something happens, he's just ready. He has a bunker and shit.
Yeah.
Jesus, did you see Tom Broom Jones' comment? Jeez.
My pick is Derek Lewis, so I've got plenty to eat if he dies. I mean, you can't argue with the reasoning.
Yeah.
Lewis has a fight booked, actually, doesn't he?
I think he does, yeah. I think he does.
Fight booked. I'm going to look it up now. Can't remember.
Zneb Rem asked, would you rather see Emmet fight the loser of Zabit versus Yar or the loser of Zombie versus Ortega? So Emmet versus the loser of Zabit versus Yar or Zombie Ortega. Oh.
Derek Lewis and Alexei Olenek.
Oh, that's fun. Olenek by some mad submission.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Emmet to fight the loser of Zabit versus Yar or Yair, or the loser of Zombie versus Ortega. I really like that Zombie fight, so if he loses that, I'll go with that one. they're,
I
man,
think Emmet and Zombie makes kind of sense anyway. Yeah, and
they're
yeah,
all
Emmet
fun
kind of really makes
fights.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're all fun fights. But we have to pick one because it's a question. So I'm gonna go with the
yeah,
loser of Zombie. Why the loser though?
yeah.
Yeah,
Winner. Like Emmett says he wants to fight up. He's sick of fighting down in the rankings, which kind of
yeah,
makes sense. Like his he's right. That rankings brief, as in UFC shouldn't be sending it out, but the reasoning they wrote it was right. Like it made sense. His upside was very little in that fight. He's fighting a guy ranked below him, who had no major notable wins.
yeah,
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 I'd take that zombie fight as well.
yeah.
I just want to see Ortega fight again though. It's been
Yeah, me
ages since
too.
we've
It's
seen him.
been a long time. Yeah, you almost knocked that guy out in the crowd that one time. Remember the singer dude? Um, cool. Going for another
John
about
C.
half an hour, so make sure you get your questions in.
John C said if I pick Joe Rogan, I'm probably stuck with that absolute arse sniffle Brendan Schaub as well. So that's a
I,
fair
f-
point.
I feel like you made an addition to that.
I may have added something to that comment. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm loving these memes. I keep sending Rob these memes on WhatsApp. The ones where it's like Schaub says he doesn't like something. Rogan says, "No, it's brilliant, man." Oh no, it's absolutely brilliant, Rob.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. It's the
Joe.
brilliantest.
Yeah, it's the bestest pick.
Adrian Kapoor, favorite Marvel movie hero and villain from Young Sean. I'll give you mine as well, but
Yeah.
Young Sean go first.
Villain, I'll take Loki.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. You want to give me a villain as well?
I'll go Thanos just because he's the big bad, but
Yeah.
he was
I
great.
thought Loki really grew on me as well. I absolutely loved him.
Yeah,
And then superhero, I will take Spider-Man.
yeah, you're a big Spider-Man guy, aren't you?
I was into Spider-Man before I started watching the Marvel movies, so I'm gonna take Spider-Man.
Very good. I'll go Captain America. And I was never a Captain America fan before the films. I thought he was too Boy Scout, but I think he had a great arc in the
Yeah.
movies. Very good arc.
Yeah, his three movies are like the
Pretty
most
better ones.
solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, as like his own franchise, they're so solid.
Yeah.
But I just think he annoys me a little bit because he's so American and he's so like that stereo fucking typical American Yank. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
He's very Boy Scout. Like
He is Boy Scout, but I think he has more layers, like an onion.
Yeah.
In this one.
Yeah, he does.
Chris Edward. By the way, Michael Keaton might be returning as Batman. Have you heard that?
No.
Yeah, he might be. You probably didn't see the Michael Keaton Batman movies, did you?
No.
I knew that by your reaction.
Were you a fan or?
Oh yeah, loved it.
Okay,
Loved it.
that would be good.
Anyways, Chris Edward. Who do you think will lose first, Sean O'Malley or Israel Adesanya? And who do you see a McGregor-esque rise? Oh, sorry, do you see? Sorry, my bad. Do you see a McGregor-esque rise by O'Malley happening in the near future? I.e., taking out multiple top 10 135ers, snatching the belt, blah 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 blah. So who do we see lose first, O'Malley or Adesanya? Like I think Israel probably has a better chance of losing because he'll probably be against the higher opposition, considering he's the champ. I don't see him losing anytime soon though. But again, O'Malley, we kind of know he's very very good. Like he showed a lot, but probably not as much as what Israel Adesanya has done. I don't see any losing. I'll say O'Malley will lose before Adesanya. Maybe he gets a jump in competition or something all of a sudden and loses. But yeah, it's a tough one. Who do you think?
I think O'Malley for me. I think he's probably going to fight a bit more frequently than Adesanya for the next while anyway. I think that's probably then you've more fights, more chance of losing.
Yeah.
I think there's some damn killers at the top of 135 there as well.
Big time.
A jump in competition and he could easily take a loss.
Yeah.
He could prove me wrong and he could absolutely motor the opposition. He's still young. He has a lot of. I think he's further away from his prime than Adesanya is.
Here's what I just thought of now. Because he's so like a lot of people are watching him, he's a big prospect. The UFC might push him along a little bit too soon. That's the trajectory he's on. So yeah, I'll go with Adesanya. Oh, sorry, with O'Malley. Also, do we see a McGregor-esque rise by O'Malley? I don't think so. I think I don't think many people can have that. I don't think they can have that rise. McGregor was special in the sense, like I think O'Malley has similar characteristics. He's very charismatic. I don't think he talks as good as McGregor talked, But I think he's very very charismatic. But I don't think he has the whole Irish thing, and you can't underestimate that Irish thing. And by Irish thing, I mean like we get very tribalistic at certain points when it comes to sport. Like if someone's doing very good in sport, generally every Irish person will follow them, even if they don't know what's going on. And you know, O'Malley, where he lives, he's not going to have that kind of thing. And I think that's kind of infectious as well. Like when you see somebody with such a huge following and it's getting crazy, a lot of people jump on the bandwagon. I don't know if O'Malley will have that kind of thing, but if you're talking about, you know, taking out, having a quick rise in terms of his athletic abilities and stuff like that, maybe, you know, he looks good.
To be fair for O'Malley, he's just out doing himself. He's not trying to do the McGregor thing or be McGregor. He's out doing his own thing and he's getting a following from doing it. I think he's going to rise at his own pace. He called out Garbrandt next. I mean, you could see the UFC giving him a fight like that, at that level of 35 anyway. Maybe not Garbrandt specifically, but someone.
Yeah, he's all over Garbrandt, isn't he?
Yeah, Tombury Jones just said it there. Like McGregor got a blackout entrance for his second UFC fight because they're in Boston.
Yeah,
nobody gets that.
Yeah, no, it was different. It was different. But if you're talking about him going up the ranks, he could, you know,
he could rise very quickly. Yeah,
he could, yeah,
he could rise.
But he has a tough one against him. Tom Brown Jones said hero, Captain America, villain, Killmonger. They were good, yeah. I liked Killmonger. He was quite good. Tom Brown Jones, Christ, we got to get Sean to watch the Keaton Batman movies, MMA movement, watch along.
Yeah. Rob's well aware of this. I don't watch a lot of movies. Like, I know I don't watch a lot of movies. I've seen the Dark Knight trilogy. Like, I've seen Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Is that all right? Is that good enough?
No, that's good. That's not good enough, but it's good.
Yeah, it's acceptable. I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm very picky with the movies I did watch. It took me a long time to watch the Marvel movies, and it was just because I had a bit of time on my hands.
Yeah, with the whole coronavirus thing.
Yeah, and I sent you the picture before. I am reading the Captain America Civil War comic at the minute. So.
Nice. I haven't actually read that yet, but I recently read the Dark Knight Returns and the Killing Joke, because I had them for ages and I never read them. Quite good. Ray Markue, went to school with him. Great stuff.
Nice.
Didn't Sabit just get confirmed to fight Yair, or did I dream that? Yeah, that's what someone said a minute ago, didn't they?
Yeah, one fight if so.
Yeah. Tom Brown Jones, a lot of Conor's rise came from his fierce Irish pride. It really did. You can't underestimate that.
Yeah, early on he absolutely tapped into that. So
yeah, let me jump back in the community tab because I don't want to miss any of these. We're going to go for another 15-20 minutes max, so make sure you get your questions in, subscribe, like the video, all that jazz. Do it, lads. Why not?
Tell your friends as well.
Yeah, tell your friends. Tell your fucking friends, yeah.
Yeah, mate,
yeah. Max B. Dustin was getting rocked frequently by Max Holloway, who was a volume striker. I think Poirier's chin is going, if not gone, and I can't see him lasting 5 rounds with Hooker. What is your prediction? I think that's a little bit unfair.
With that.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit unfair. I think that criticism was put on Poirier for a while at 145. And I know we had that Michael Johnson one, but I think that was a weird flash in the pan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
weight was the real issue at 45.
I think so. I don't think his chin is gone. I think he's taken some big shots. It might be declining a little bit, but I think it's still fine. What's your prediction on that? I picked Poirier, but for me that's a coin flip, honestly.
Which fight is this? Sorry,
the Poirier and Dan fight on the weekend, the Hooker fight.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I don't like he didn't get rocked frequently against Max. He got put down once. Max landed a nice straight, I think it was, if I remember rightly. And he pretty bounced back pretty well from it, recovered well. He was rocked. He got put down. It was a good shot, but didn't cause too much damage to him going forward in the fight. I think he does have a chin at 55, especially. Max is a volume guy. Max is the definition of a volume guy. Threw everything at him in that fight, and he ate it. So
yeah. Liam Rushworth, would you give Josh Emmett the winner of Ige versus Cater? Potentially. Cater is number 6 now. Ige is number 11. We'll have to get the UFC suggestions on where they should go if they win or lose to figure out, you know, where they could be.
I kind of like giving him a bigger guy than Cater at the minute.
Yeah.
Similar
Although,
for Cater, I think you could give Cater someone else. Like.
yeah, Cater is 6, so he's still ranked ahead of him, and I can't see Josh Emmett going ahead of him after that. Well, he could. I don't fucking
Rankings
know.
are up. Emmet hasn't moved.
Oh, is that the latest rankings I'm looking at?
Yeah, Emmet hasn't moved.
Jesus.
Upside very low, Rob, if he wins.
After an incredible fight like that, he didn't move.
Yeah, it's tough, innit?
Well, I know Borjos was just slightly below him, but still, that seems a
At least
little
one
harsh.
spot, like, come on.
Yeah, it seems a little harsh. Can't wait to see if Max can change and or have a plan B, which he has never had to resort to. It's a good point. Is it the same fight style? Is it the same fight style for the past? I don't think that was part of the question, but he said it. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it was more of a statement, but I do agree. It's a good point. Max Holloway, like, he's made adjustments in fight, but generally he's always had the same style. You know, he's always played at range for the most part and boxed for the most part. And he might have to change something up with Volkanovski. I'm not sure what. And I think that's what makes this fight intriguing and why I don't really see Max Holloway winning it. But Max Holloway is incredibly talented. Who knows what he's going to do, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Max. He lost that last fight 50-45, wasn't it? He got a bit of a beating for 5 rounds. Just like, how do you come back from that? Like, there's definitely adjustments he can make, but it's hard to overturn that kind of a beating, isn't it?
Yeah. But just speaking of, before we get into a few more questions, but even if you have questions about this in particular, we will take them. Again, we're going to go for another 15 minutes or so. But UFC 251 is incredible, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
Inject that card into my veins.
Yeah,
I'm staying up for that shit.
Oh yeah, 100%. You have 3 title fights. You have Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, Volkanovski, Max Holloway. You have Peter Yan and Jose Aldo, which is, you know, whatever. Hopefully Peter Yan wins. Actually, I like Jose Aldo. I'm not going to say that. But also you have on the card Jessica Andrade against Rose Namajunas, which I'm very interested in seeing that rematch. I'm interested to see what Namajunas can do. And then you have Amanda Ribas, who's coming up. Looks really good against Paige Van Zandt, so that could be a big win for her if she wins it. And the prelims aren't too bad. Man, it's one of the better cards we've had in a while, I think. One of the better cards.
Yeah. 3 title fights on a... Like, the prelims are alright. Like, they're not the best prelims you've ever seen, but, like, that main card is the reason why, so...
Yeah.
You've Makwan Amirkhani and Danny Henry on the prelims there. It's a good fight.
That is fun, yeah. That is fun. Who else is on it? Jesus, Davey Grant. Haven't seen him in years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dos Santos against Salikov. That's fun. Salikov, the king of Kung Fu, I believe his name. Procrasa is on the card. I can never pronounce his name properly, but he was he was a fighter out of Ryzen, right? Am I right?
Leonardo Santos.
Yeah, Procrasa. He was Ryzen's champ. He'll just be CB Dalloway at the end of the year.
Volkan Ozdemir on the card as well.
Fighter.
Actually,
yeah, it's not a bad card. I like it. Well, not a bad card. Sorry, it's not a bad prelim card, and the main card is
absolute
banging.
Fire.
Tom Broom Jones says, Rob, my brother, you got to read Watchmen. I do, and I haven't even watched the show, which I heard is phenomenal. So yeah, gonna watch that. Hands of Stone, great comment. I'm not gonna read it just in case no one has seen the movie.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Good job. I didn't read it.
Yeah.
You're more sensitive than I am, Rob.
The king of mods. If McGregor hadn't got the Mayweather fight, how different do you think McGregor's career and legacy would be?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, that fight particularly adds a lot of it adds a lot to, I don't know, legacy. Like, what is McGregor's legacy at the end of the day? It definitely catapulted him to a level of fame that we've never seen before in MMA.
Yeah.
Like, he still would have been an absolute sensation that we'd never seen the like of in MMA.
Yeah.
But that fight particularly catapulted him to a level that just is absolutely unprecedented. So.
Yeah. I don't think it necessarily hurt him either.
No, absolutely not.
Like
Mayweather, like.
Yeah, you know, I don't think it hurt him. I think parts of the fallout from it, in terms of like the fact that he didn't fight for a while, all that kind of stuff, maybe hurt him. But the actual fight itself, the build up, everything around, I don't think hurt him particularly. So
the things that will hurt Conor's legacy are not defending belts, periods of inactivity, and
yeah,
that's what's going to hurt Conor's legacy. So.
yeah, and out of cage stuff to a certain extent. Although he seems like a bit of a Teflon Don in that way. But yeah. Snebram, The Joker is a very dark movie, but I found it to be masterful, and I'm a pretty harsh movie critic. Really like it. Did you see? Oh, you've seen The Joker, of course you did, yeah.
Yeah, I watched it twice, Robert.
Very Taxi Driver like. It's like a mixture. If you liked The Joker, watch Taxi Driver if you haven't seen it, which you should.
Haven't seen it.
And oh jeez, and watch
it on Netflix.
I'm not sure.
Have a look.
You'll get it. And The King of Comedy.
Okay.
Very much.
Brendan Shaw, is it?
It's Robert De Niro who plays like not even a failed comedian, and never was comedian pretty much, but very, very, very good. Andrew Averill, winner of Poirier Hooker should get Tony. Will Conor have any interest? Yeah, you'll probably get a tweet from Conor at some point after or during that fight.
Around 4:30 on Sunday morning.
I'm unretired.
Yeah. ...
Dustin,
I want you. Winner.
Thanks,
insert winner here. I want you. So.
Yeah, something like that. But the winner should fight Tony. It makes perfect sense. On one hand, I would like Tony Ferguson to get a bit more of a manageable fight than that.
Or a longer layoff.
Yeah, definitely a longer layoff. But yeah. Tom Broom Jones. How ironic is it that the men's featherweight has the most depth and the women UFC's women's featherweight has the least? I guess it's biology. You'll probably say not as many women would be that size. You know, that most people cut weight. And then
Amanda talking about retirement actually.
Yes, I did actually. Yeah,
Dana wasn't too happy.
No, is she leveraging like Henry Cejudo?
I don't know. Dana said he was gonna kill her. Yeah. Next time he spoke to her, because he had just had a meeting. Dana was angry because he wasted some of his time essentially, his precious time. Yeah. He said they just spoke in a matchmakers meeting about building out that division for her, but how quickly can you do that? I mean, so that's it. That's a process that takes years.
Yeah. I don't know how you could do that. Let me go back to the community tab so we don't miss any of these. Do you think Charles Oliveira gets underrated at lightweight?
Yeah, not particularly.
No. I'm not sure if he gets underrated, but I think he gets left unmentioned.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
That's fair, yeah. Makes sense.
I think when people talk about him, he gets talked pretty positively, or about him pretty positively, I think. Don't you guys love it? This is never. Don't you guys love it when Dana makes fun of Bob Arum? It is quite funny, to be fair.
Yeah, well, have you seen those top rank cards that ESPN have been putting on since boxing came back? Pretty stinking.
Yeah.
And I understand that, like, there's only certain fights you can make and stuff, but like, to be fair, the UFC they've put on some good fights during this pandemic, so
yeah,
the cards haven't been lacking. So.
I was watching Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, and they were talking about Clay Collard, former UFC fighter, signed with PFL.
Top rank.
Yeah, he fought with Top Rank. Made like $5,000 for a fight. That's not great.
Well, that's $5,000 to come in and just lose. Is what that was.
Yeah, I know, but still, I don't know. Like, you might as well be back in the UFC making your fucking 8 and
12 and 12.
You know, or whatever it is. But he signed with the PFL, I think, and then they obviously closed up shop because of coronavirus. So hopefully they reopen soon. He gets to make some money. Salvastola, please discuss the difference between Justin Gaethje, I'm ready to die, and Max, I quit. Yeah. Well, Justin Gaethje's a different breed anyway. Like Justin Gaethje routinely talks about himself dying in the cage. Like, that's like, he's different. Yeah. And Max is, we don't know yet, but maybe Max is a little bit, I'm not gonna say mentally weak, but maybe he needs to work on that. He's green, he's inexperienced, but like I do believe that Justin Gaethje's different. Like when Justin Gaethje was 5-0, he probably was speaking the same way. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for Max. I'm just saying
Mm.
people are different, you know. Gonna go for another 10 minutes max. Yeah, just under 10 minutes. So get your questions in and like the video, subscribe, blah 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 blah. Hands of Stone. Conor's legacy equals not defending belts, racist, xenophobic comments, violence outside of the cage. Okay, cheating on his partner, keeping the belt in the division hostage, most successful pay-per-view star by far. Yeah, I guess so. He said
he said it, not me.
Andrew Averill. If Max reclaims the belt, I don't see him having the time to go back up to 155 anytime soon. The amount of makeable fights at 145. Yeah. Like if Max goes back up, I think he should be going up to stay there. So he should be doing the, changing the nutrition, building himself up. So if he wins back that 145 belt, he probably will stay there for a while, I guess.
Yeah, I still want to see Max at have a few fights at 55. I think there's some fun, like there's some unbelievable matchups there from a 55. I think he just needs to fill out to the division. I think he's still quite a lean guy, and he's big at 45, but he's quite lean. I don't think that just works as well as at 55.
Yeah. Snebram. Is there any fight you guys want to see more than the heavily anticipated rematch of Sarah Moraes and Sajari Eubanks? The tough one, man. That's an incredible fight.
That's high up on my list.
Yeah.
Things I don't fucking want to watch.
I think I may have skipped through that fight a little bit, the original. Andrew Averill. I don't see Jorge or Colby ever fighting Leon. Might have to take out Ponzinibbio or Wonderboy to stay active.
Tough one for Edwards.
They're two guys actually that get forgotten about a little bit, aren't they? Wonderboy not so much, but Ponzinibbio kind of gets left out at welterweight a lot. Also, John C said that he feels it's hard to underrate people in lightweight, featherweight, and welterweight. All divisions are so stacked. That's very true. Or in a sense, you could say that most are underrated because they're fighting such difficult opponents that they're gonna lose. So the records maybe don't show exactly the caliber they are.
Yeah.
It's a shame Conor robbed us of an absolute barn burner with Masvidal for the BMF. I think he's shook of I think he's shook of Maz, seeing as Masvidal did to Nate versus Conor 2 performance versus Nate.
Not particularly sure we got robbed of a barn burner there.
No. You think Masvidal would wipe him?
I think Masvidal wipes him, yeah. I think Conor's too slow at 170.
Yeah.
Compared to a genuine 170.
Yeah, interesting.
I know Masvidal fought at 55 and stuff. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Like, I go back and forth in that fight because if it was 2 years ago, I think most people, or maybe a little bit more, maybe about 2 years ago, a lot of people would have said that that's a handy fight for Conor, you know? Yeah. But Masvidal has just looked incredible. And
Masvidal's going towards a long period of inactivity now as well.
He has, yeah. He's been inactive for a long time. Yeah. I don't know. I'm very torn on that fight. Royal Blood, Leon Edwards has the charisma of a sock.
Do you know what I actually seen?
Fights, regardless of
I think it was Ariel suggested it. Why not just do McGregor and RDA? Fight was supposed to happen. It's supposed to be for an interim belt. RDA doesn't have an opponent. Not the worst thing I've ever heard suggested.
No, I guess Conor doesn't want it.
Probably not. If there's no belt on the line, Conor's probably not arsed.
Yeah. Probably not. Did you enjoy the new Mixed Molly Whoppery video about Francis? I haven't watched it yet, but I have it on my watch later list and I shall check it out. They're always very good.
He's very good.
He is very good. Does Jorge's career diverge away from the belt at this point and just do spectacles at 165 catchweight?
Hard man to see where Jorge goes from here. Like at some point he's gonna have. I mean, if he's set on that fighting until fighter paces are resolved, could be waiting a long time.
He could be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the UFC like setting up super fights with him either. If he's not accepting title fights, I don't know. I think that could be a weird situation for him. says, Nebrem, what do you guys make of this guy that he's pushing Jesse on fire?
He's talking about mixed Molly Whoppery now.
Huh?
I think he's talking about mixed Molly Whoppery now. Something, I don't know.
What do you think is Jesse on fire? I don't know. I don't know what that is. I feel like I'm getting duped here or something.
The kids are laughing at you, Rob.
Yeah. Do you ever see, like, they always do it to Luke Thomas? They always, like, give him a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
And then Borishina Depot on YouTube, that amazing, on Twitter, that amazing Twitter handle, like, put up his blunders. I can't remember. One of them was fucking great. It was just typical, like, The Simpsons, where he calls up Mo Sislak and says, fucking whatever. It was great. But I feel like that just happened to me. Yeah. Stuff like that,
Yeah.
But they do it with super chats.
Peter File.
They'll pay like a $5 so they make sure he says it.
I love that. That's excellent shit, Icery.
Tom Brown Jones. We're gonna go for another 2 or 3 minutes. Make sure you like the video. Come on. There's 22 in the chat and there's only 4. What the fuck's going on? Come on, lads. What the fuck? Yeah, anyway, Tom Brown Jones. Connor's mystique has been shattered. Imagine saying 2 years ago that Jorge Masvidal would wipe the floor with him. You'd be laughed out of the building. You would. It's weird. But that's MMA moves very quickly. But I agree, his mystique has been shattered.
Yeah, there's still always going to be a sense of intrigue around McGregor, but I think you're right. When he was coming up, when he was on the come up and he was just winning everything and calling it, there was just a mystique around it that people couldn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
I think that is kind of shattered now. But there'll always be a sense of intrigue around him when he's fighting. So.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not duping you. Mixed Molly gave 30-second vid clips to this channel called Jesse on Fire. In his last 2 videos, the guy uploads multiple videos. It's quite boisterous. Right, Jesse on Fire. I will check that out. Let me remember that. Jesse on Fire. Actually, let me check it now. 1 second. See if I know who this is. Jesse on Fire.
I like a song.
I rant about UFC.
All right, Jesse on Fire. Welcome.
Andrew Averill says, imagine where Francis would be right now had he KO'd Stipe first time. Would DC have still jumped up to heavyweight? Not so sure. Don't know. I mean, DC said he just wrestled Francis, which is obviously, it's like the most obvious game plan of all time, but you also just have to avoid that absolute fucking truck that he's going to throw at you to actually get to wrestle him. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if this is mixed Molly Whoppery. Imagine.
And it's just like mixed Molly Whopperyception.
Yeah. Because I see this video, it says mixed Molly Whoppery and then / Jesse on Fire full episode. Is this like an interview? Did he interview him? Huh. I wonder. So I don't know why I'm so intrigued by this, but it says the description says, start here, welcome to the channel, everyone. Jesse on Fire introduces himself by discussing mixed Molly Whoppery. Francis Ngannou, John Jones. Huh. Weird. I don't know. I'll check that out. We're going to go for another 2 minutes. Get your questions in. Quick fire. Someone do some quick fire questions. I enjoyed them.
Yeah, give us some quick fire.
Give us some quick fire. Go on. Fucking moth. John C. What are Steve-O and John Jones doing together besides cocaine, of course? I think, do you know what's weird? Isn't it fun? Like, if you have Steve-O and John Jones in a room and Steve-O is the less pissed and coked out of it.
He was sober.
I know, sober now. Yeah, I know. It's mad, isn't it?
So.
He seems to be doing great for himself.
Yeah, he's trying to get John to give him a cauliflower ear. See that? No?
Yeah. With the what did he do again?
Hit his ear with a hammer.
Yeah, that was it. So Steve-O.
That seems a weird way to get cauliflower ear. Would you not get him to punch the head of you for like 5 minutes or something?
Hammer is more gruesome though.
It is.
So apparently Jesse on Fire is credited as a sponsor on Mixed Molly Whoppery's videos, last 2 videos. So he likely paid for promotion. Huh. Weird. Anyways. Go watch Robin Black's breakdown of quitting on the stool situation. We will watch it. I will check it out.
Probably not gonna if he was just saying that you never fought, bro.
Yeah. Imagine where Francis would be right now had he KO'd Stipe the first time. Would DC has still jumped up to heavyweight? I don't know. It's pretty shady, but I don't think they're a sponsor of Mixed Money. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I said they're friends on that. I don't know why. It's weird, but I'll check them out. But that's it. Anyway, there's no quick fire questions unless they come in 2 seconds, but I don't think they will be. Sean, thanks for joining me again this week. Missed last week. Card this weekend. Yeah, fucking, it's insane. Card this weekend is all right. Great main event.
Banging main event.
Yeah, banging main event. But the rest is, it's all right. Won't stay up for it. But in 2 weeks or so, or whenever it is, or 3 weeks, there's an incredible
weekend after
card.
this, no?
Is it? Yeah.
No. It's the following weekend.
Cool.
2 weekends.
Yeah, we will be back, of course, next week anyway. But I can't wait to be back for that card in a few weeks because that's one that I can't wait to talk about. But yeah, that's it. Sean, any closing thoughts?
No. Take it easy, folks.
Okay, we'll leave it at this one. Sugar's hair or Roy Nelson's beard?
Sugar's hair.
I'll go Sugar's hair too. Let's leave it there.
I don't even want to know what nasty stuff is in Roy Nelson's beard. Like Roald Dahl's book, The Twits. That's how I imagine his beard.
Yeah.
So.
Probably. But yeah, Sugar's hair. We're out.